The Cromwell Town Council scheduled to begin at 6:30 p.m. Once we go into executive session. Citizens' comments, any citizens before we go into executive session? Hearing none, can I have a motion to go into executive session and invite our town manager and our finance director for the purposes of discussing the union contract? So made by Al, second by Jack. Okay, good. We can stay in the same. We can stay in the same room as long as we mute it. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. And we are now in executive session effective 6:33, and we're getting a cookie to meeting of Wednesday, October 8th to order at 7:01 p.m. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Julia, will you guide us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. Now we are going to go to our approval of the agenda. For tonight's agenda, I do have some amendments to propose. Amendment I'd like to add under item D, commendation letter from Mayor on behalf of the Town Council. Under new business, item M1, we received a request from the Congregational Church on Main Street for they need a letter of support from the municipality in support of their application for a state grant for refurbishing the tower. And so I wanted council approval on that. And I think those are the two proposed changes that I have for our agenda. And hold on.
Were you gonna
Yes.
encourage?
Yes. So, and then under unfinished business, item L2, I wanted to put a placeholder for discussing the track issue again after last night's Board of Education meeting. So discussion and possible action regarding the high school track, just so we can have somewhere that it can be parked if we want to do anything with it or say anything or release a statement or whatever we want to do with it.
I move the agenda be amended as indicated by the mayor.
Thank you. Motion made.
Second.
Second. Julia, second by Paula. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Okay, we're going to begin with our accommodation letter. A little bit of background. Last week, we found out from the Board of Education that we have a student here in Cromwell who is going to be representing the town in the national PGA Junior League Championship, and they are a top-ranked golfer for the entire country. I mean, it's just really fabulous that our team is going to be competing. Well, one of our students on our regional team is going to be competing, and also that she is a top-ranked national golfer, and to have that kind of level of talent here in town is really impressive. And so I invited Ava and her family to join us this evening and to address us, and I have a letter of commendation for her. So Ava, if you want to come on up to the podium. And maybe briefly introduce yourself, and then I can read the. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. But we're really proud of you, and then I can read the letter. You don't want to? Okay, that's okay. So Ava, if you want to keep standing up there, let me just read the letter that we wrote. It's a letter of commendation from the town council and myself as mayor. And so I'll read it to you, and then I'll present it to you. And I hope you do really well in the tournament next month. Dear Miss Ava O. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to commend you for your exceptional academic, artistic, and athletic achievements. Your commitment to excellence in the classroom and in athletics has brought pride and recognition to our entire community. In the classroom, you have demonstrated exceptional talent, earning recognition as a gifted and talented student by the Connecticut Department of Education and achieving perfect scores in both the ELA and Math SBAC tests. Your creativity has also been celebrated with your artwork being featured in the 2025 Cromwell Public Schools District Art Show, and you continue to inspire others with your work in chorus, clarinet, and piano. Beyond academics, you've shown incredible dedication to athletics. In golf, you are a U.S. Kids Local Tour champion, a New England regional runner-up golfer, and will be soon representing Team Connecticut at the PGA Junior League Championship. In soccer, you've been a strong leader as a defender and midfielder, contributing to the town league's championship and state cup runner-up finish. And on the basketball court, you helped lead a 24-0 season and a league championship while also finishing as runner-up in the New England Championship. Your success reflects not only your talents, but your dedication and positive spirit. We are so proud to recognize you, and we look forward to seeing all that you will achieve in the future. With admiration and congratulations, I have this letter for you. I think Deputy Mayor Waters wants to know, what do you do in your spare time? It is really outstanding, and you know, we as the town council want to recognize when people from our town do outstanding work and make outstanding achievements. And I mean, the fact that you know, you are, I just want to make sure I understand this. So it says that your average stroke is 38 and that you're ranked T17 and T34. So that means you're the top in the top 17 and top 34 of golfers of your age bracket across the country? In the world. That's incredible.
That's amazing.
Congratulations again, and thank you for coming tonight. You make us really proud. Okay. And Mom, do you want to say anything before we move to our next item? Or?
Oh, yeah. And they're also playing golf. I was a little safe. Give another one.
Good.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Congratulations again. With that great news, we'll start by moving on to our commission chairman and staff reports. I see that some of the department directors are here. Kara, I see you're here tonight. Is there anything you want to highlight from your staff report, or you want to let the report speak for itself? Oh, no. What? Oh, I guess this isn't your report. You're right. This is your request for the evening. Okay. Do you have anything you want to report tonight? Not to put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
You might step it up to the microphone, please. Thank you.
You're welcome. You couldn't hear me?
No.
Quiet.
We want to make sure that we get every word you heard.
So I just wanted to say that we did have our book read-in again for our banned books week. So we had about 30 people come and learn about censorship happening in libraries across the country. It was wonderful. We have a full slate of programs. The Belden room is always being used. People are very happy. I think I see some library books over here. But that's about it. The only reason I didn't have a report this month is statistics were due on the 1st, and my staff just couldn't get them to me by that noon time. I have the staff who comes in at 12:30 that day, so it was just too much. Plus, I had the request, and I knew I was going to be here, so if anyone had any questions, I knew I would be here for that.
Great, thank you. And then we have Amy's report in here as well. And I do know that I believe Senator Lesser indicated to me earlier this week that the senior center is going to be receiving some state funding for their food program, I think he said. That we're one of the towns that were able to get the Meals on Wheels supplemental funding, which is really great. And then we have Scott's report. Okay, any questions on any of the reports before we move on? Okay, I'll move on to my mayor's update. I have been meeting with town staff over the course of the last month. We've had a number of productive discussions. I want to start with the Rose Garden renovation. The Cromwell Creative District secured a matching AARP grant to put a bench over in Valor Memorial Green, and then also to do pavers for the Rose Garden. So right now, the Rose Garden, you may notice, is flattened. It's being repaved, and there will be a sidewalk that will meet it, so people in a wheelchair could get over to the Rose Garden. We're working to try to secure a master gardener for the spring so it can be replanted. But we are looking forward to that project moving forward. There'll be a party at the end of the month with AARP to recognize the receiving of the grant funding for that. Additionally to that, me and the town manager have met with town staff. We have before you tonight a facilities asset and building committee proposal that has been workshopped. My original proposal was in very typical me style, very verbose, and I worked on it with my friend Mr. Waganowski, who I don't know if he's here yet. There we go, Steve's here. And so we workshopped it, we sent it to town staff. Town staff made their recommendations, and then tonight we'll continue to discuss it. You all saw an earlier draft of that at the last meeting. We also, me, the public work director, and Tony have been also meeting about making sure that we're communicating with our athletic teams and our fields, and we're looking to implement some new user group interfaces to help track the conditions of the fields, and also to meet with the different user groups. We're going to be meeting with them next week. And we're looking forward to that as well. We hosted the 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony on September 11th, and we also did the ribbon cutting for the new middle school, the ceremony that was held right before our bond tri-board meeting that we had last week, or the week before. Time kind of has a way of melding together. Otherwise, those are the highlights. The other update that I had for all of you is regarding the track, and we put it as an agenda item so we could talk about it more there. As you know, we 50-50 funded the track for refurbishment of the rubber upper layer. It went to Board of Finance, where on a 3-3 vote, it did not progress. After it did not progress, I wrote a letter to the Board of Education saying, hey, you know, Board of Finance chose not to move this forward. That's their right. That's why the Board of Finance exists. They get to make decisions about the decisions we make. And so, you know, I asked them if they would consider using their surplus to fund the entire project, because we thought it was a priority and we really wanted it to happen. Last night they took no action, and Ann and Paula were at that meeting, so when we get down to that agenda item, we can talk about it more, and if there's anything we want to do or any new letter we want to write jointly, like, we can talk about what we want to do or where we want to move from there. So that did not move forward last evening. Early voting is starting soon. The town clerk has posted the information online in addition to the ballot questions. I want to just clarify, because I've gotten some questions on this. There are 3 ballot questions, and on the town clerk's notice, items 1 through 10 are the explanation of all of the summary of all of the major changes. Those are not part of question 3. So if you're looking at it, question 1, 2, and 3, and then the 10 items that are on the bottom half of that notice is just an explanatory text for all of the changes. It is not subsections of question 3. But that is available for review. We do have hard copies in the library. There's a very healthy stack that is available right by the circulation desk that people can take and review all of those changes for the charter as well. And again, I want to thank the Charter Commission members for all of their hard work on that. The Cromwell LGBTQ Commission has told me that they wish to disband due to poor attendance and lack of quorum at their meetings. And so they do have one event left for National Coming Out Day, which is next week at a local business. After such time, you know, we'll probably put it on our next agenda to accept and dissolve the commission. And then consider asking DEI to expand their charge to include their former mission into their mission. So that way the work can continue. It just goes into a different group, and maybe that will encourage better cooperation and attendance. So those are my major updates. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the town manager's update. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the packet is part of my report. We've been extremely busy between negotiating with the union, the bond ratings, and today ultimately going out to bond to market for the bonds. And first I want to say what an outstanding job our finance director has done regarding all these items and her department, and also in conjunction with doing all the paperwork that we continue to have to do for the new school. It really has been putting quite a workload on the finance department, and I can't say enough about the job that they have done. As far as the ratings and the bonding, it's a team effort. Everybody deserves the credit. Again, Sharon has done an outstanding job in this area for us. We were, in my opinion, and Sharon can speak to it also, very successful today. Our bond average, we came in with a rating of 4.076. We borrowed $42 million, which I hate to say is the largest amount the town has ever borrowed, with an annual payment of $2.48 million. These are on an average. The rating came in at the cost being our bonded debt under $4 million, which is very good in my opinion, and we are authorized to have a bonded debt up to 4.8. And the numbers, if you remember from Mr. Healy being here, came in better than what he initially reported. So if you have any questions regarding bonding, I'll try to answer, or Sharon, but I thought we did very well. Our bond advisor did an excellent job for us, and I think all in all, we did very well.
Yeah, congratulations on that. Any questions for the town manager?
Yes, Tony, would it be possible to have the finance director give us a breakdown of, since now we know what it's gonna cost us in bonding, so as far as, now we would like to know what it's gonna cost us in taxes for, compared to, I know for 27, we were gonna take a big hit, but if it came in under, that means our taxes should, I'm saying, should be lower than what they projected.
I'm glad you put it that way, lower than what was projected. We didn't have time, unfortunately, today but we can get something to give you a,
For all of us? For the whole council?
the whole council, absolutely.
Yeah.
An approximation on what the impact will be regarding the new school.
Good. Thank you.
Because it'll be, it's also gonna depend on the breakdown on how much is contributed. Whether or not any money is by the Board of Finance. But we could say what the absolute is gonna approximately be, and that's gonna be based on roughly 2.48.
Right, so we're adding 2.48 every year, because our debt service for this bond is a level for the 30 years.
Right.
So we're adding 2.48 every year to our current debt service.
So that's what it is, it's the 30-year, 2.4 annual, and,
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay. Sharon, you said every year you're gonna add 2.8?
No, 2.48 is the cost.
just for the bond for the school.
For, so it's not gonna, like, each year, it's not gonna go jumping up, like,
No,
that's the way I took it,
we
like you say,
structured it-
each year.
We structured it as a level debt service over the 30 years.
Thank you.
It's,
And we can pay it off after
we can
10.
refund after
10
10 years.
years. Yeah. One, a guesstimate is gonna be, one,
Sorry, I didn't
a
get it.
guesstimate is,
For the what, mill rate?
yeah,
Um,
what do we figure, 1.3?
yes, 1.3. I did it, I actually did it today.
Oh, then step up and,
Give us some good news.
when I asked her initially, she didn't have time.
Busy day,
And,
sorry.
That's
and
all
I
right.
assume, Sharon, for your numbers, you used, assuming our budget stays exactly zero, right?
Zero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that we don't spend a penny more than we did
This
last year.
is only the school.
This is just the school, the
This
impact
is-
of only the school.
Yes.
Yes, the impact of only the school. So, for fiscal year '26, since our budget is already set, we do have an interest payment. But, in talking to the chair of the Board of Finance, we have that $1.8 million set aside. Cause for the interest on the note, that is due on October 20th, I did put that in the budget. So that is paid off, though, it was approximately $1.5 million. But starting in fiscal year '27, it's gonna be, the impact is gonna be about 1.30, which is about $328 for the average home in Cromwell. $328 a year.
That's not.
Value of the home.
That's $150 a year, or is it $300?
328.
$328.
In other words, we have two payments.
Oh, it's for the year.
Thank you.
Okay, annually, sorry.
Thank you.
What did you figure for the value of the home?
And this is from Shauna, 360.
Yeah.
And that was after reval.
Thank you.
And then in year '28, it is gonna be 1.29. So it slowly goes down by like .01, .01. But, our other debt does drop off. It drops off under $1 million, our older debt, in 2030.
That's just down the road, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, I've always wondered, and I don't know what the answer to this question is. I know we have to have on our budget referendum a question about, like, do you approve the debt? What happens if the voters say they don't approve the
We
debt?
still have to pay
We
it.
still have to pay it because it's been approved by a prior referendum.
Yes,
Right.
we still have to pay the
We don't need their
payments.
approval.
We don't need their approval for the stuff that's already been approved.
We've made recommendations that that question be removed,
That's,
but it's already been
yeah,
approved by
okay.
taxpayers, so we have to pay it.
okay. I was just wondering. Okay, thank you. That makes sense. Do you, any other questions about the bond issue or anything the town manager reported on? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the liaison reports. Any of the liaison reports? I'll start with Paula over on the left. I have one written.
I attended the EDC meeting on September 17. And the 9/11 ceremony at Riverport Park. And last night attended the Board of Ed meeting.
Okay, Brian, any liaison reports from any of the commissions that you went to?
Fire Commission had had an election, Monday, I believe it was, Monday. I'm not quite sure what the results were. I'll find that out next Tuesday.
Same three people.
So it was just a re-election of the same three people, okay. I don't know what the turnout was or what the numbers were, but
Wasn't advertised much.
And they've rejected our with going, I know I went back to them a second time.
yeah,
about-
they don't feel that they would have to change their charters and bylaws and have to move their election dates, and they also feel that if they were to put it in line with our elections, that it would become more of a political aspect as opposed to them being more of a non-political faction. It keeps being discussed, that they.
I gently remind them that the origin of the word political comes from the Greek polis, which means of the city or of the town, and it means affairs of the city or the town. So anything that's an affair of the city or the town is political by the origin of the etymology of the word, but that's okay. I understand their concerns.
Are you Greek?
I happen to be Greek, so you can give me any word in the English language. Okay, thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. Al, any updates for you?
Yes. One, the sewer department was able to put the addition on the trunk line behind Northeast Motorsports off the Shumpike, because it's a man-made pond, but when it gets heavy rain, they can't get into it, and the water does get into the pipes, and...
Is this recent?
Pardon me?
Is this a recent addition?
Yeah.
Because we were just out there. They haven't, they put that on there quite a long time ago.
No.
We haven't replaced that pipe yet.
No, you're talking about the extensions on the cap?
The cap, yes.
Oh,
They report-
that was done quite a while ago, wasn't it?
No, they just reported it the other night.
No, that was done quite a while ago.
Okay, the other thing, on Willowbrook Road, I was also informed that, the contractor who put the sewage pipeline in for the houses that were on the old Hoffman farm on the north side of Evergreen, apparently the cover of the sewer line was quite high, and last year, one of our snowplows hit it and broke the snowplow, so I was told. Since then, the town had the people come out and they lowered that back down. I did take a ride by there today. It's much lower than it was last week, much lower. The only question I have when the town public works director gets up there is, how long is the warranty gonna be for that road for it's settled? Because they dug it up once, now they dug it up again. Not much, but if it settles, whose responsibility is that? That's one thing. The other thing is, on October 1st, on a Wednesday, we had what they call, we started changing the name, and I compiled the letter, sent it out to the Scoutmasters, Den Mothers, etc., to give to the students the meaning of the flag. We used to call it flag burning. Now we call it flag retiring. And we had a ceremony out there at the Coles Road Firehouse, which there had to be about 30 scouts there, between the Boy Scouts and etc. And we did burn off some. We couldn't burn off too many because of the weather, the dry conditions over in that area, but we were able to get done what we needed to get done. And let's see, that's about it.
Thank you, Al.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I know I mentioned not long ago, probably last month, if not the month before, about the Historical Society was having trouble with getting some painting done, etc. They did get a local gentleman, I will not mention names, but he gave apparently a good price, and he couldn't wait to get started to help these people out. And he's a well-known lad from the town. And I did go by there the other day, and he's working pretty good for a single guy, and compared to the person they had prior that started the job, then took off and never completed it. But this person is supposed to be doing an excellent job, so I just want to update you on that. That's it.
Thank you, Al. And before getting to Jack, one quick thing. I forgot to mention during my mayor's update that I joined the CBIA, the Connecticut Business Industrial Association, and State Comptroller Sean Scanlon yesterday at a tour of one of our manufacturers in town, Carry Tools, I think, up on Pasco Hill Drive. What an incredible facility that they have. They have 40 employees, some of which have been with the town, or with the group for over 30 years. And the state comptroller chose to start his manufacturing month tour here in Cromwell. So that was a really good event. Our friend Chris from the chamber was there, and Representative Christy Carpino was there with me as well, and we gave some remarks. about manufacturing in town, and I highlighted about a half dozen of the manufacturers that we have in town. And I just want to thank town staff and Amanda especially for getting that information to me in less than 3, or I think I requested it at like 6 p.m. the day before, and she got it to me at 8 a.m. the next morning. So thank you for getting me the data on some of our manufacturers so I could highlight that during the event. So thank you. Jack?
One of the groups that I've been working with has been the Conservation Commission, and I just want to focus on one of the things that they're working on, and I think most of you have heard of it. It's a sustainable CT, which is basically different projects that the town can work on and get some success, and by getting some success, it's going to sound maybe a little hokey, they get points, and if they get points, then they qualify for grants. And they've been working very, very hard on this, and they are progressing. There's going to be another assessment in later October, and when we get to January, those points will all be added up, and if we get a certain amount of points that covered, and it's for all of the cities and towns in Connecticut that want to participate, then that would allow the town of Cromwell to basically get some grants to be able to put some more programs together. And so, I'm kind of hoping that we can get in that direction.
Great, thank you, Jack. And you went to the Board of Ed meeting?
Yeah, yeah. So, do you want us to talk about that later?
Yeah, let's wait until we get to that agenda item. And Julia?
Well, as you know, I've been sick and away, but I just did want to mention to the family of our locally golfer, these meetings can be, some might say a little boring. So if the if the children want to leave and go do their homework, we will not be offended, believe me, okay?
Future board members.
Potentially. Future mayor, right?
Future Women's LPGA.
That's right, LPGA, and then when she retires from that and needs something to keep her busy, then she can be mayor.
Daytona Beach, Florida.
TV that she's from Cromwell, Connecticut.
That's right, when she walks down the green. Okay, so moving on then to our finance director's update. Let's go through our budget report. We'll start there and then move forward to the appropriation request.
In your packet are the budget reports for fiscal year '26. Through the end of September, both the expenditures and revenue are on target for this point in the fiscal year. So I really don't have much to report. I, along with the town manager, am very pleased where our bond placed today. We went to market very positive after our AAA rating, and we came out with a very decent bond today. So I'm very thankful to our bond counsel and our bond advisor for the work they helped Tony and I with.
Great. Any questions on the budget report or the bonding for the finance director?
Who is our bond counsel?
Coleman and Comey,
Oh, okay.
Glenn Rybecki.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, next we have review and approve appropriation in the amount of $44,548 for building envelope sealing in the Belden Public Library's Belden Room. And to present this, we have our town engineer and our library director. And there is a packet that was included in your package as well.
Good evening. In recent years, we've had some humidity issues in some of the cathedral ceilings in the town hall complex that we've tried to resolve with staff and by reaching out to architects and contractors to remedy. We remedied the issue that was ongoing in the atrium here at the entrance. I don't know if you are all aware, but during hot, humid days, the ceiling would drip. And we were able to get an appropriation to replace that ceiling. It's probably been two years now, and that issue has been addressed, but our efforts to address the ongoing issues in the Belden Room have not been successful. Every time we think we've got the problem licked, the weather changes and it becomes fall, and it doesn't happen again for 8 months. So some of the things we've tried is when we first noticed this issue, we thought that the skylights were leaking because it was shortly after a rainfall event, and it turns out that wasn't the problem. Working with our architects that designed the space, they recommended that we change the run times on the HVAC equipment. They were running for an occupied daytime temperature and then doing a setback at night, so we tried running it 24/7, cooling, keeping it at a certain temperature, and that didn't help. The thought was that the air was getting stratified because the ceiling in there is probably, I don't know, 20, 24 feet high, and it certainly was hotter at the top and cooler on the bottom. So we added, I think it's 4 large ceiling fans, which seemed to help, but didn't ultimately fix the problem. We've had building maintenance staff rent a special lift to get in there and access all of the skylights and do some of the caulking around the penetration of skylight. You know, it originates in your finished ceiling and it extends through your roof line. So there were a number of gaps in there that were caulked, and it seemed to help, but ultimately the problem remains. So we've reached out to what we would consider to be the expert in the field. They came recommended to us by our former building official, Dave Jolly, and our current building official, John Egan. This is the company that trains building officials in these types of matters and other things. Anyway, they've taken a look at it. You guys all have their proposal in your packets. They're convinced that they can solve our issue. It's not something you can see. You can't see air going through gaps and cracks in the summer, but I had an opportunity to go up on the roof last winter after a very cold night with snow, and it was amazing just to see all the amount of melting snow on that roof compared to the adjacent roof with the gym that had absolutely no snow melt on it. You know, the gym is probably, I don't know, 50 years old or older, and this one's 5 years old and has an issue of warm air migrating to cooler air, and this work would resolve that.
Sorry, go ahead, John.
That's about all I have to say.
Any other comments from the library director before we go to questions?
No, I just think that, you know, the room gets such use, and we really need to just maintain and make sure that we don't end up with problems. You know, we have lots of technology, expensive equipment in there, and as the condensation is running through beams, it's running right past projectors. We're having to put in dehumidifiers because of our 3D printing. You know, any of that filament gets moist, it jams up 3D printers. You know, and obviously we are dry mopping before every single program, but it can cause, you know, a slip and fall. So we need to be really careful.
Has there been any mold issues at all? Has anybody noticed any mold issues?
There was something on a ceiling tile, and there's some rust in our steel beams, you know, that are gonna need to be probably scraped and painted. And some of our stuff is actually lifting because of the humidity.
But
Let
him
I was just gonna say that we pretty much have done everything that we can do in-house. And Mr. Harriman previously did get this analyzed, correct? And this was the recommendation at the time. However, we tried to handle it, like I said, in-house. And this is pretty much the last resort, and hopefully, as the librarian has said, with the room and the amount, I have been getting some complaints from the users with regards to the way the ceiling does drip. So I fully support this request and would recommend council approval.
go ahead, Al, with your question.
Mr. Harriman, you said that last winter you were up on the roof and you saw some snow, some spots, but over by, am I talking about the skylights maybe?
Yeah, the skylights, I think there's probably 8 on each side, the east
Right.
and west
So,
exposure.
In other words, where the skylights are, that's where you've seen there was less snow there rather than a couple of feet away?
No, I wouldn't say that. It was pretty well distributed everywhere. If it had just been around the skylights, my recommendation would have been to find someone that knows a lot about skylights and have the skylights sealed. But if you've gone through that report, there's a number of areas that they're looking at. They're looking at the interface of where the walls come up and meet the cathedral ceiling. They are looking around the skylights. They're looking at the perforated panels at the ridge. They're looking at the interface between the steel beams and that ceiling's standing seam sealed roof. It's a number of areas. They're all identified in that report you
I
have.
did read part of it.
Okay.
This is the building room that we just have put in, 5 years ago?
That's right.
What's the warranty on that job?
Our contracts warranties are 1 year.
Really?
Yes, they are. The roof has a 30-year warranty on it, but you're asking about the contract in general. All of our contracts are 1 year warranty,
As far as workmanship?
1 year. It's been like that long before I started here, and
No,
that's
I'm
the way
not
it's
arguing,
current.
no, it's just that I would think that if this had to be an issue how things were put together, we probably wouldn't have this problem. But the way it seems, we're having this problem, and I'm gonna say poor workmanship, my opinion only.
The report gives an opinion on where the problem was.
Yeah.
I would
Or how
refer to
about
that.
architectural malpractice?
There we go too, yes, yeah.
Have we considered that? There's a 6-year statute of limitations on the contract.
We could potentially work with the town attorney to look into, you're referring to errors and omissions. I don't know what the standard percentage is on that. I think it's somewhere between 3% and 5%. That's around what we're talking about. I'm assuming you're gonna pay something to take that through the courts. Our recommendation is to move forward with this work, but we could reach out to the attorney, who does have a contract specialist to review that.
Well, I mean, I just want to, it may
Thank
be
you.
something worth, I think we should still explore moving forward with this separate and apart from that.
Sure.
But looking at the report, they did, I'm going to say that these people are experts in this field, and they've given the opinion that the air package, the air leakage is because of system failures, and they identify different system failures, missing and defective air barriers, misalignment of the barriers. I mean, I don't do this area of law, but I would imagine that, if you have I would consider these people experts, and they're identifying lapses of workmanship and quality. I think it would just be worth taking consulting for an hour with whoever the contract specialist that our town attorney uses, and just say, is there anything here that would be worth trying to get recoupment or negotiate, maybe a little bit of a reimbursement for some of these new expenses that we have to take. I mean, we have an expert that is saying that these are defects, so I think it would just be something worth maybe just having a 1 hour consult about, separate and apart from, how do we address the problem that we have here. My question is, I know this has been, there have been multiple fixes that have been planned for this. Did this ever go through CNR to try to get fixed earlier, like the ceiling? I know the ones in the atrium, I think, or did we do those mid-year as well, the atrium ones? We did those through CNR. Was there a reason that this wasn't identified as a CNR item earlier, or it just keeps escalating and getting worse?
All of the repairs that have been done to date were done out of operating budget.
Okay. No, it's just as we have our facilities discussion later in the agenda, so it's just helpful to know, what is something that is an emergency or isn't no longer able to be handled operationally versus what is something that we need to plan for as part of our normal CNR process. But, okay, I have no other questions. Anybody else with any questions?
So long as it's, we have to take care of it now, otherwise it
Correct.
gets worse.
Correct.
Then it's
I
gonna
agree.
cost
I
us.
agree with that. I'm just thinking from a planning perspective, is this something that, because
Pay
we,
for it now and go after them later.
okay, fair enough. Okay.
Mr. Harriman will contact the specialist on the council staff and at least run the idea by him.
Great. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve the appropriation in the amount of $44,548 as indicated in the agenda.
Motion approved.
Made by Al, second by Jack. Any further discussion in that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Next is a request to approve the bid waiver of the ceiling project. You'll see in the cover letter from the organization that they are seeking and from the overall proposal, that the town is seeking a bid waiver. This contracting company did their assessment for free, which normally they don't, and their preliminary inspection for free, normally they don't. And so for those considerations of the work they've already put in, that they're experts in this field, the town is seeking a bid waiver from our normal bid policy. Any discussion on that?
I would like to ask, is there any other, Mr. Harriman, is there any other companies around that do this type of work?
I've been trying to identify one. I haven't been able to identify anybody that is of this capability with this level of experience. I think in the packet, it outlines some of the corporations and government entities they've worked with in the past. I mean, I've had this work done on my home, but those are, that's through the thing you pay on your Eversource bill to fund the home energy solutions. I've done that a couple of times.
So you're recommending these people highly?
I'm certainly recommending these people. I mean, their proposal does state that it's confidential and proprietary and all those.
I read that, yes.
So it makes it difficult for me to bid it. I tried to feel that out with them about how can I take your report and bid it, and it was pretty clear that if we did that, I'd be in trouble, so.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve the bid waiver for the envelope sealing project as proposed in the agenda.
Motion.
Motion made by Brian, second by Jack. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Tax refunds.
Thank you.
Item 4, thank you.
Motion approved, 1 through 31.
Second.
Motion made by Al, seconded by Jack. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Next, we move on to our chief of police update. Captain and chief.
I was just gonna ask her if she gave lessons, because
Yeah. 36.
I need it. So besides what you have in front of you, I just have a couple updates for you. I just wanna thank Walmart. Walmart has donated some funds to our PBA to allow us to do our Shop with a Cop this holiday season. So they've done a lot when it comes to donating funds for that, so I wanna say thank you to them. They also donated candy for this year Halloween for our police officers on Halloween night to be able to go around as they see children, give them some candy. Also, as you know, we have Trick or Trunk this weekend, and Officer Liz, one of our new SROs, is gonna be down there handing out candy with the police car. So it helps us fun-wise, purchasing items to give out to the kids on Halloween. I know some of you saw on social media, the PBA is selling some stickers. There are patches in pink. The funds for that is going to the Susan G. Komen Foundation, obviously for breast cancer, and hopefully the stickers will be in next week, so if you purchased any, you should be getting them within the next week or so. Besides that, I have nothing more besides what's already in there. Any questions? Yes, Judge?
What is car wash? There's 40 incidences of car wash. What is that?
We wash cars. We go to homes and wash, no, I'm joking. When we go to the car wash on 372, the officers call it in because they're tied up now. So they're going to get a car wash.
Oh,
So the dispatcher knows and the sergeant knows that their car's being
okay.
washed.
I
They go-
thought maybe there was lots of burglaries or something. Okay.
Never know.
It's especially, Al has educated me on this quite a bit. It's especially important in the winter with the salt and the other stuff that they put on the roads to get the undercarriage cleaned out, because otherwise it rusted. I didn't know that until I met
And I know
Al.
Al is big on having those inspected when they go through their weekly maintenance over at the highway department to make sure there's no rust growing. So car wash helps keep that clean. Right, Al?
Any other
Save
questions?
us the money in the long run.
There you go. There you go.
I just had one quick question. I know that there was a particular tobacco place that had been, again, found to be selling to underage, and they were shut down by the, have they reopened? Have they paid a fine? Like, what happens next with them?
They are reopened.
Okay.
They've met whatever the state mandated them to meet, and they've met it, and now they're reopened.
Does that fine go to the town, or does it go to the
It's all
state?
That's all state.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
To give, Detective Jesperson kudos, he's been on top of that every 2 to 3 months that they're allowed to do it, he's been doing it.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of businesses in town now that sell tobacco products and vaping products, which I'm glad that we're checking out and make sure they're doing the right thing.
Thank you, Chief.
Now,
and
is
thank
that
you for
something
the
that's
work.
regulated by like consumer protection?
It is.
Do they send somebody out with you,
They send-
that work
they-
with you?
So our youth detective goes out with
Okay.
a team,
Okay,
and they do the inspections.
okay.
Sarah has been very good about notifying me and notifying them, but I'm copied on it, of when it happens, the chief and Sarah send out a little notice about it. And, our drug prevention specialist is on that thread too. Matt is on that too, and they are all working together on it.
Nice.
It's pretty impressive.
Sir, do you have one officer only that does the motorcycle, or is it still Mr. Billy?
We have 2 officers, Mr. Colgate, Sergeant Colgate.
Yeah.
Bill, and Officer Thomason just graduated this summer.
Okay. Well, it was nice to see them out Sunday driving down River Road with it, to get the cobwebs out of it. Because it hasn't been being used like it used to.
Officer Thomason has been using it weekly since
Yeah.
he's been certified. So when he's the extra officer, he's been using it to do motor vehicle activity, to do checks in businesses and so forth.
Well, it was nice to finally see it out there again.
Good.
Alrighty, any other questions? Otherwise,
Maybe this coming year I will ask for a new one to, since that
You don't have the mileage or the hours on that. There's only works hard in
Al, I think
parade.
that motorcycle's as old as you are, so we'll see.
I hope so. That'd be a milestone.
hey, okay, fair enough. So let's keep moving. Public Works Director, Lou. Thank you, Chief.
I'm always here if the chief needs anyone to help put miles on the Harley. Good evening. You have a few updates in there I'd like to expand on just a little. The West drainage study is underway. They were here last Wednesday. They were out there for 6-7 hours. They took a lot of cores. And we got an email from them today. They want to come back on Friday and see, with the rain we had today, they want to take a look 24, 48 hours post-storm and see if the under drain is actually performing or not. So we'll notify the Board of Ed tomorrow that they'll be back on campus on Friday, and hopefully they'll take a look at the drainage system. Preliminarily, without making any recommendation, he says that he thinks there's going to be a lot of they are going to make a lot of recommendations to the town, from least invasive all the way up to stripping it all out and rehabbing, but hopefully that's not the route we end up having to go. But that's underway, and great team that they provided for us, and there's certainly a lot of information being exchanged back and forth. So hopefully they're going to have the engineering desk. They sent all the soil out to be sampled into labs, and they're hoping to get that back in the next week or two and start really making some recommendations for us. The radio system upgrade, all the mobile units have been installed. One of the things that's been holding this thing up for too long has been the portables. Our utility communications, the vendor that's doing the installs, did receive our portable units, and we're waiting for them to be programmed. And then all that'll be left once that programming happens is for them to come install the base units, and we can get that thing up and running again. Fall paving, they're actually starting to reclaim West Street Terrace tomorrow. And I did add, this is the human element to our pavement management program. I added St. John's Court to it, because even though it didn't come out when we ran that report, it's such a small piece, it's there, and we probably won't go back there just for that little piece in the future. So that little strip in front of the church is going to be milled and resurfaced as well. The reclaimment of West Street Terrace is tomorrow. They expect to be over here by St. John's Court in Lincoln on Friday to mill, and with any luck, they'll start resurfacing it Tuesday morning. So that could be wrapped up as early as next Friday. The mayor touched on the Rose Garden that we've been working on. Town ended up putting a little skin in the game. We got a lot of sweat equity there, and we certainly decided to pay for the extension of that paver sidewalk, because we thought it would look foolish if we cut it short. We bought new caps for the pillars, and I think it's coming out great, and I look forward to getting that complete. They're doing a little restoration work down there this week. They're gonna put mulch in the gardens for the time being, and hopefully, as the mayor alluded to. Yeah, we're looking at some grants to see if we could apply it towards the plantings, but one way or another, we'll get the plantings in next spring, hopefully with a, you know, little partnering up with maybe some local groups. And lastly, the Thanksgiving tree donation, I made you guys aware of this last month, I believe, but we did schedule a ceremony, and it's a week from tomorrow at noon on Thursday the 16th. I actually have a few flyers if you guys could pass a couple of them around, but hopefully there's some of you or all of you are interested in attending if you're available. I'm sure there'll be a few people that want to say a few words, so I'm assuming the mayor's one of them. If you do, please let Amanda know, because we put a little program together, and hopefully it'll flow relatively smoothly. And that's really all I have, unless you have any questions.
Mr. Waters.
Sorry, I'm wound up tonight. When do you generally take the flags off the poles?
Typically in the fall.
I'm sorry?
In the fall, around this time of year. I think we took them down a couple, 2-3 weeks ago.
Because
Before
they're
it gets
still
too
up.
cold in.
They're still up.
Are they all up? Oh,
They haven't taken them down
We,
yet.
we left them up this year because the weather, really hasn't, changed.
I thought he told me 2 weeks ago he was gonna get out there and take
He
them
was,
down.
but remember, we told him to,
okay.
finish taking the ceiling down.
I know he put the fall banners up downtown a couple weeks ago, and
Yep.
I was under the impression that he was gonna take them when they went out on the same round, but apparently not. I stand corrected.
No, you decided the ceiling
Yeah.
was priority.
If the weather is really mild and cooperative, we've kept them out as late as Veterans Day. But I think that's kind of pushing it a little bit. It starts to get a little wet and windy and cool, and, you know, we don't want them to get weathered, so.
Reason I'm asking, sir, is because those flags are taking a beating. And by right, those should have been taken down long ago, especially after the beginning of the holidays. I know some people say, well, some towns leave them up for Veterans Day. I know we put ours out Memorial time, and usually they're in by 4th of July, somewhere around there. But right now, those flags, we might have to be replacing them because they're taking a beating.
We'll get them down soon. I actually thought he was gonna do it when he put the other one, the fall things up a couple weeks ago, so I do stand corrected.
And the other question, you mentioned something which I'm not familiar with, that got by me. You said something about West Street, a water issue, something, were you saying something about West Street? You had some people coming out to do samples?
That was the Wish Fields.
Whisk, okay. The water over there as far as the ground.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's an underground drainage system. There are dry wells in there, and there's an underground drainage system. So, again, he wanted to come back after a rainstorm and see if that water made its way down and if it's actually traveling as it's supposed to.
Good, thank you.
Yep. And I'm sure if he doesn't find what he's looking for on Friday, they're predicting a little bit heavier rain Sunday into Monday, so maybe he'll have to come back again on Tuesday, but hopefully they can start, putting the pieces of the puzzle together for us.
Thanks, Lou. Any other questions for Lou? Go ahead, Brian.
On that project that we looked at, the flooding issue with the sewer pipe that's underwater and everything else, I talked to Alice the other day. I bumped into Alice, and she said that letters went out to the landowners. I'm just wondering if there's any progress or where we're at on it.
Last I spoke with Dan, he did tell me he initiated a dialogue with the DEEP, made them aware of it, and see what would be required on our end as far as permitting, what, if any, support they may or may not have for us. And he did tell me he was gonna make contact with the property owner. So I guess, the preliminary steps are being put into motion, and I think the biggest thing is waiting to hear back from the DEEP and seeing exactly what's gonna be required on that. And so, as I get updates, we can certainly update monthly if there's anything to share.
Okay, excellent.
But
Thank you.
They did put extensions on that concrete.
They did
Right.
that, that was a while ago, yeah, that was a year or two, it was I remember them going out there,
The sewer pipes are actually underwater.
yeah, they put
They were,
extenders
yeah.
on
They
the
have to,
manhole, yeah.
they had
I
to
know that,
extend
because
the,
it's getting water put into it, and we're paying for that
yeah,
fresh water
that's when
out
they
of our
put the
bill.
caps on.
Yeah. I was under the impression what she told, what was said the other night.
It was fairly recent, but it wasn't,
Okay,
it
thank
wasn't in
you.
the last month or two. But I would say, if I'm guessing off the top of my head, between 12 and 24 months ago. It's been a little while, but
Okay,
it's
thank you.
not too far in the past.
Any other questions for the Public Works Director? Lou, would you mind staying for the Facilities Committee ordinance discussion?
I just want to run to the restroom quick.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's fine. We have citizens' comments, and then we'll get there, so you have a little time. Okay, so we will now move to citizens' comments. If there are any citizens, please approach the podium and state your name and address, and it's 2 minutes per speaker. And thank you so much.
My name is Tom Butler, and I live at 45 South Street. I have excuse me. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I have 2 questions this evening. When the gate on South Street is finished, who will be responsible for opening and closing the gate? And my other question is, who is going to pay to repair my lawn when somebody drives around the gate? Thank you.
How about the street light? I remember.
You remember, Al?
So I'll add that as item number 3, something about a streetlight.
Yeah, that's what he wanted the street light taken, where he's at Trussell.
I'll add it to the
About
notes for
3
the
years
comments.
ago.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Butler. And I'll have town staff look into that and reach out to you privately on those. Any other citizens' comments? Mr. Kanata.
Mike Canado, 136 Nooks Hill Road. Just wanted to say that I know Steve has put an incredibly large amount of effort into this facilities proposal. It's been a long time coming. At charter revision, it was proposed to make it part of the charter, and on the advice of the town attorney, she felt it would be best as an ordinance, which is where we are now. But again, I fully support Steve's efforts and the concept, and it's been a long time coming. I think we need consolidation with both the school buildings and the town buildings, and I hope that everything gets to that point. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Waters.
I'm sorry. For the council's informational purposes, lower end of Main Street, it used to be the Citgo gas station. And the gentleman who bought the property that put the signs up, or putting the signs up, he's gonna be converting that over to self-storage down there.
The gas station right before you get onto.
Yeah, I guess the building's gonna be knocked down, and he's gonna be put up self-storages in there.
Not that many, but a few.
Oh, good, more tax revenue. Great.
It's gonna make it look like a structure.
Okay.
The doors are gonna be in the back.
Those poor murals, I hope they can be redone.
The doors for the storage will be in the back.
Yep.
Front will look like it's a regular building.
So the gas station will be gone.
That'll be great.
If I may, I just came from the Inland Wetlands Commission meeting. He did get wetlands approval tonight. He's coming before Planning and Zoning. Everything I saw tonight is a huge, huge improvement to the site, both from a wetland standpoint, which is the presentation I just left, and from a development standpoint, it's finally gonna fix Cromwell's favorite eyesore coming off the on-ramp.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, any other citizens' comments? Any other citizens' comments? And for the purposes of our discussion, I'd like to invite, although they're not members, I'd like the council's permission to have Steve and Mr. Kanata participate in our discussions. Under Robert's rules, the chair can recognize non-body members to speak. I just want to make sure that the body is comfortable with that before we move on.
Absolutely.
Okay, otherwise they would have to do their comments now. So, okay, good, thank you for your permission on that one. So item L1, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed facilities ordinance. So a little bit of background on this. Steve and I had addressed this issue, like Mr. Kanata said, at charter revision. We had a couple different versions and concepts that we floated to them after discussion with the town attorney. it was decided that this was probably something better for an ordinance. Steve and I did some research. You saw at the last meeting, I believe, our long-form research memo with all of the different versions and different ideas and different concepts. I met with town staff one time to go over it, and then Steve and I, town staff reviewed it, made some recommendations, and then Steve and I met with town staff again to talk about it, and then town staff made some additional revisions and edits and recommendations, which is the document that we have in front of us today, just for a roadmap of where we go from here. Should we want to approve it, amend it, whatever we want to do with it tonight, we would do that. If we do like the idea and we want to move forward, because it is an ordinance, it would need to have a public hearing, so that would be scheduled for next month, unless you feel that it needs a special meeting for it. We could always do it that way, but we would do it through ordinance in the future. And then if it passes, hypothetically in November, we can get it off the ground. That's assuming we're willing to accept it today, unless we want to kick it back for more research. Steve and I have been talking about, we want to do it right. We don't want to do it fast. We want to do it right. And so let me just talk through what this proposal has in it. I can talk about some of the things that were removed from the old one. As you know, I suffer from a motor mouth and a motor mind, so I tend to be overly verbose. This has been streamlined from what I had originally drafted with Steve. And so where we have in here, section 1 is the establishment and purpose. It's a public asset and facility committee to assist in the planning, maintenance, development, renovation, repurposing, and construction of town-owned assets. You'll notice that we had facets. We had a term, I think it was FEE. We've removed that reference to keep it broader. We've clarified that it's advisory, that it advises the town council on issues of capital investment, space optimization, and coordination with educational and ancillary public entities. And we've also added the clause that the building committee will partner with the Board of Education for guidance on requirements and critical decisions. Membership, we have a 7-member body with 2 alternates, 1 town council member, 1 Board of Finance member, 1 Board of Education member. It's a committee, so we can have us serve on it. And then 4 members are just general electors of the town with preference given. Originally said with required background, but then we realized that may be over limiting. So we said with preference given, and then we list out the different folks who could be potential liaisons, and then we clarified that the Board of Ed chair, Board of Finance chair, and the mayor are ex officio members, meaning that they can go, they can talk, but they don't count for a quorum or for voting purposes, and that they follow Robert's Rules and Freedom of Information Act. Powers and duties have been reduced from the original scope that Steve and I had drafted, and right now it's a little broader. So the committee may make recommendations to the town manager for necessary repairs and renovations to ensure the most efficient and strategic use of town-oriented buildings and parcels. The committee may assist the town manager or his designee based off of a statement of need. So I want to pause there. That's a new concept that was not in the last draft. Town staff felt that the other language was overly prescriptive and overly broad, and by limiting it or kind of scaling it back, saying based off of a statement of need, we would be giving the committee charges that we would ask them to look into something. An example, we paid for the sidewalk plan that is now out with a contractor. They're going to come back with recommendations for improvements to the sidewalk. We had a phase 1 of that project that assessed the current conditions of all of our existing sidewalks. So hypothetically, once we get the second report, it's probably going to be a very lengthy report. We may want to say, we're going to pass a statement of charge to the Facilities Commission, review the sidewalk Part A and B current conditions, future expansion opportunities, and prioritize for us in what order we should do it. What road should we focus on first? Is it repair this, then add here, then repair this, prioritize it and give us a recommendation. So that way, when we go to do our budgeting, we have a more thorough review by another set of eyes. Not that we're not capable of reviewing it, but by having people who can focus on it. But by having statement of need language, the idea is we could give them charges, and then they could go off with those charges and come back to us with recommendations. The committee shall receive an annual inventory of all buildings owned by the town of Cromwell, and on or before October 15th of each year, the committee will recommend to the town manager necessary repairs or renovations. If designated by the town council, they'll have oversight responsibility for construction or remodeling projects as specified by a resolution by the town council. So this would be, for example, if we had a building, like, let's say we're doing the sewer garage. A couple years ago, we did the sewer garage. We could designate this commission to act as a building committee, like the middle school building committee did, to look over and make recommendations. However, there was a concern that, what if it's, there was a concern by the town engineer of what if it is, 10 a.m. on a Saturday and there's a problem with the construction site, do we have to convene the committee to make a recommendation? So they have language in here saying that they'll have authority to allow the public works director to make immediate decisions if required and report them to the committee.
I have a question.
Yep, let me just go through
Okay.
the whole thing, and then I want to let Lou and Tony have their comments for edits that they propose, and then Steve to have his comments, and then we can all have our comments. Is that okay?
Yep.
Threshold, this was a change. I had it as shall mandate committee oversight for over 5 millions in May for under 5. The town staff are recommending keeping the may instead. So that's a change from what I had originally proposed with Steve. Reporting coordination, they'll give status reports to the town council and board of finance, and if the board of ed is involved in the project, then to the board of ed. It supersedes any prior conflicts, follows state law. It's not, if this was an issue about collective bargaining agreements and job descriptions, some of the things I had listed are people's jobs that work for the town right now. And so we wanted to make it clear that nothing that the commission does violates what their job descriptions already are, and then we can revise the ordinance in the future, and then it would be in effect 30 days after it is publication of its summary. So with that, let me start with the town manager, and Lou, do you want to explain any of the changes that you made and why you made the changes, or do you feel that the summary I gave is sufficient?
No, I was going to say, first of all, thanks for soliciting our opinions. The concerns that staff had were thoroughly discussed, and I think in your summation there, you hit the points that I would wanted to make. So, thanks for opening the process up to both to hear from staff, and it's certainly, I think there's a little bit more comfort with your.
Thank you. Okay. Anything for you, Tony? Okay.
I agree with everything you said, and I agree with everything Mr. Spina said, and I think it addresses, I know it addresses staff's concern. I did have a talk with Mr. Harriman, and the reason staff gave the recommendation on the may instead of the shall, there may be a project that could be $5,000,001, and we feel that it's better handled by staff. We would make that recommendation, and the council would have the ability to assign it to staff or to assign it to a building committee. It just gave a little more flexibility by having a may rather than a shall.
Thank you. And now, Steve, I know you had emailed me some comments on this draft. Do you want to address, your feedback and kind of thoughts on the process, thoughts on where we are, thoughts on where we go from here?
Steve Waganowski, 20 Chelsea Drive. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Town Council, Town Manager. I think overall, I think the draft looks very good. I'm not looking to rewrite it entirely. I did have a few comments and a few thoughts. Some of it just to make sure like we've collectively thought about what's in there, only because once this becomes out there and becomes an ordinance, I'm trying to avoid sort of this lack of, clarity, we're not sure. And so I just want to put some thoughts out to this, you guys can figure out what you want to include in or tweak the words or not. It's really, kind of your thing to do. So in the draft, one of the things that it has, and rightfully so, is in section 1, is that sort of the third line or the third row down, I guess it's a long sentence, but that it talks about the town-owned assets, including buildings. I think different people have, what is a town-owned asset? And for me, one of the major things is, does that include the schools or not? And does everyone know it includes the schools if it does include the schools? Or should we make sure explicitly put in there the schools?
So let me address that. There is a Connecticut state statute that requires that public schools have building committees that are responsible for the maintenance, upkeep, yada, 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 of their schools. We cannot mandate that they designate us as that. They can opt in and designate, they get to, the Board of Ed gets to designate if it's a subcommittee of the board or if it's us. And I sent this draft to their counsel, Jessica Ritter from Shipman, and I asked, is this, if the Board of Ed wanted to make this committee, their buildings committee, does this comport with the state statute that spells out what that committee needs to do? It's a very short statute. I think it was in our memo that we had circulated. I believe it does satisfy that because the statute just says they need to have a public building, like a building committee that talks about maintenance improvements, and I think this does it. We would just need them to vote and say, this is that we're designating this committee as it. And so that's why the language says in situations where the building is will partner with the Board of Ed, we just need a resolution or something for them to do it, because by statute, they have to do it, but they could designate, you and Mike to be the two people to do it, and that technically satisfies, or they can designate anyone they want to do it. They're just supposed to designate somebody.
Okay, all right, so the wording then, I think makes sense to leave as is. We'll figure it out then down the road, kind of work with the schools and sort of see if that committee alignment's gonna happen then.
The schools have to work with us, we
Yeah.
don't get to call the shots.
Right.
Yeah, my hope is Claudio saw our earlier draft, and he was okay with our earlier draft, so I'm hoping he's also okay with this
With this
draft.
Okay, all right, very good. So the fields are not specifically called out unless they're sort of part of the vital infrastructure. I just know we have a lot of fields, there's a lot that goes on with them. Should we be calling that out specifically, or is it just, everyone's gonna read this and assume fields are somewhere in one of these words here like infrastructure?
Fields are not an infrastructure.
I didn't, right? So should we add that in here then, or not?
You want fields in there?
You're dying to have them in there, Lou. I know you want them in there.
No, staff doesn't want fields in there. That's why fields are not in.
Fair, but if we don't have them somewhere, I'm just worried that the town is gonna be disadvantaged at some point.
A disadvantage?
Only just because if we don't have clarity, like either the schools own them, they're responsible for them, does the town own them? I know we've got a couple field issues now, so.
Lou, do you want to just sit at the extra chair, just so that way it's recorded? You can sit, you can just join that last seat next to Paula. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just want to get it recorded. I got a text that somebody can't hear you.
Is it on?
Yeah.
So to that point, the town and the BOE have been meeting. There's a field committee, and we meet usually quarterly, but certainly, a few times a year. And I think the problems that existed a few years ago where, who's maintaining the batting cages and who's not, or who's cutting around the outside of the batting cages, but no one weed whacked inside of them. I think that board and those meetings have resulted in a lot more cooperation, and I think a lot less miscues, I guess, is the only way to put it. I think that the end result is town staff is now responsible and knows that they're responsible for more, and I think, I think the fields, we're also, we've looked at potentially putting the Board of Ed, outside staff under us in the future, something that's kind of ongoing, so I think with the progress we've made just by meeting with them the last few years, and if we, look to continue to pursue that consolidation, I think the fields will work itself out.
So let me ask this question to Steve's point. Because we have a provision here that says that we can do things by statement of charge, is it possible for us, even though it's not in the preamble, to say we would like this committee to work with the Board of Ed and the Public Works Department to assess the current condition of all fields and come back to us with a current rank them based off of their status currently, or do you think that would go beyond the ordinance?
I would think the only time that, this is my opinion, that we would want the commission to assist or work with them on would be like, are we putting a synthetic turf field in somewhere, because that's a large capital expenditure. Other than that, if it's really just maintenance, I think we're, I know staff is quite capable, and, you know, we've been redoing fields, we've done probably 8, 9 fields over in the last few years. I think our field, actually, you know, with the exception of what we're working on now at WIS, I'm actually quite satisfied with the condition of all our other fields. I think staff does an outstanding job, so. I think if we all agree that if, again, I'll say it again, if, you know, if we're gonna put a $2 million turf field in there, maybe this is something that we would, you know, seek assistance or some cooperation with, but outside of that, I'm pretty comfortable with the maintenance of the fields, personally.
No, that makes sense. My only input to that would be if we are going to have significant changes to the fields, obviously gonna have a cost to them, they need to be in the overall strategy for what we're trying to do, which should fall all under this committee, just my opinion.
The fields that are on Board of Ed property are technically under their control, and theoretically, we have to be invited in order to maintain them, which we do maintain because we have this agreement between the BOE and us, and we've been maintaining them for years. Used to be the Highway Division, now it's Parks and Grounds. But those fields are clearly under their control, other than they allow us to control them and us to maintain them.
So they're under their control, but it's our problem.
Well, you know, to go back to what Mr. Spina said about the batting cages, the batting cages were donated, I think, years ago, and then they didn't maintain them, and we had to send our crew in to clean them up, and now we ended up, for the most part, we pretty much maintain everything now on school property, except maybe 25, 30 feet around each structure, right? I don't know.
We do very little at ECS, other than that, we do,
Everything else.
yeah, 95% of the other 3 campuses. And again, to the point that the town manager just made, there's been several cases over the years where their outside guy was just out on an extended medical leave, so we took on responsibilities that we normally didn't, and they come to us when they have a problem. Right now, we're assisting, they bought bleachers, they put pads in for bleachers, so the charter does say if they need help, they reach out, and they're pretty good about reaching out, and we're pretty good about accommodating when they do, so it's honestly, the last 3 years,
But theoretically, if they wanted to tell us we're handling our own grounds, they can do that. They won't ever do that, but they could do it.
No, we're free.
Well, we're free for everyone. We're free for every sporting organization in this town.
Okay, so section 3, the words itself, fine, I'm not looking to change any of the words really. I just had a couple points. So should there be something in here where this committee that's being created, either approves or reviews and provides commentary on the 5-year plan, could be for the town and the schools, I'm always gonna keep lumping the schools together, but something where this 5-year plan we're all trying to look for, as part of our process, part of our charter, we have this committee sort of be the one to either, again, approve it, or review and comment, or something else.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple different ways we could handle that. We could ask them to make a recommendation to long-range capital planning, and then long-range capital planning would, finalize and adopt it. You could leave it in long-range capital planning's hands entirely, because we do have in here that they honor before October 15th of each year, the committee will recommend to the town manager necessary repairs and renovations. Hypothetically, the town manager, well, not hypothetically, by charter, the town manager is the head of long-range capital planning. By tradition, we all sit on it, the mayor, the deputy mayor, the finance chair, vice chair, and then we go forward and we vote on a plan. Hypothetically, that's only 1 year, so I think that's, to your point, yes, right now it's only prescriptive for 1 year. we could always ask as part of the charge of them to say, take that 1 year and kick it out 5 years for us. I'm thinking specifically with Gordian, wanting to keep having them continue to work on that and finesse that and prioritize that, so when we get together in long-range capital planning, we're not having the, well, how much does a light bulb conversation have. So that somebody's already had that conversation and to ask those questions and kick the can. So I think we could do one of two things. We could amend it to clarify that, but I think by saying that, we'll recommend to the town manager, at least for one year, then it can go to long-range capital planning after October. If you want them to develop a 5-year sketch, that would be a different thing. We could talk about adding that.
The only reason I'm saying that is part of the, the folks that would be on this, right, might be just more into the details than the long-range capital planning would be. So they might be in a little better position to sort of have the view of that and then look at the 5-year plan and be moving things around a little bit. And long-term capital planning isn't gonna try to do that heavy lifting.
But this
Steve?
doesn't prohibit that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The way it's written, it doesn't prohibit it.
I have a question for you on the
Sure, John.
third paragraph down. If designated by the town council, the committee shall have oversight over the construction or remodeling projects as specified by resolution by the town council. So I'm wondering about that. I'm also wondering, first sentence of the one before, the committee shall receive an annual inventory of all buildings owned by the town of Cromwell on or before October 15th of each year, and you know how fast that comes along. Once the summer's over, all of a sudden it's October 15th. On or before October 15th of each year, the committee will recommend to the town manager necessary repairs and renovations. So in my head, I think that is a big mountain to climb, to get that done over that period and to get that information. You're requiring this group to get this info and process it and get approvals.
Sure, and to that point, that was gonna be one of my questions too, is there's sort of the means of production, like how does this inventory get created?
How does it happen?
Exactly. And so one of the things, it may be like a ramp it up if it doesn't exist today. I know the fire district, quite honestly, is looking at doing the same thing, kind of pushing and asking the same questions there. They're gonna look at using the Munis system to try to track assets and the like. We're not quite there yet, but they're trying to do some of that stuff. In the end, whether it be the tool I've built already or using Munis, you have everything in that tool, then it's a matter of the care and feeding of the tool or wherever the information is.
Yeah,
So you're not producing it in one shot. Like, you're not going from ground zero, let's build all this inventory. No, you have it, and then you're just maintaining it going forward. That's why you're able to produce it. Now, we could sort of say, like, is it October 15th, and the committee has a month or two to do something with it, then it feeds into the budget process. There's probably some refinement of the timeline, I'm sure. But the main piece of this, there shouldn't be a lot of heavy lifting to get the inventory on an ongoing basis. There may be a little bit of a startup work to do some of that, though.
And I would agree with that, that if you've got that, you've done the inventory. You know what you need, conditions, you can act on it. Our initial actions, 2025, 26, kind of situation.
And once you have it, you can then
Then
update
you
it.
can moderate it and update it based
Exactly.
on what's going on. It's just the timeline piece, when I'm thinking about it and getting stuff done, and what I've seen historically, that this just seems,
Aggressive?
yeah,
So I think that's a matter of, between the town's input,
I
like,
know.
what makes sense? I
and
guess, in
maybe
terms-
everything would work out fine. It's, I just have a
I think
couple
it's a valid concern.
I want to just clarify the last sentence, if designated by the town. So the way that Steve and I had kind of volleyed back and forth when we were drafting it is, we combined two different concepts into one. We combined the building committee concept, which is like what we have for the middle school, which is they're deciding what desks go into the room, right?
Yep.
And we kind of said, okay, but like how often is that going to come around where there's going to be a big project where they need to be making those decisions versus the larger picture of facility prioritization and improvements and recommendations. So we thought parking them together made more sense, so that way it's for consistency. When a project comes by, we have people who've been doing this for a little bit, they kind of, have been in the loop for a little bit, and it's an easier transition. But we also have the out that we designate as a council who gets to do the building committee stuff. And we have a resolution that says what they can and can't do. So I feel that, yes, it's a heavy lift, but I don't think they'll be happening concurrently very frequently. Because I can't imagine, I think the next big building that we will tackle will most likely be the elementary school, unless the $10 million donor comes back and we get our senior center built. Then we would probably want them to be, you know, what kind of desks do you buy for a senior center? What kind of, you know,
Yeah,
they may
all
then
those
need to get
things.
into the weeds on that.
Sure.
But, Steve, as you were.
Sure. So I think that, you know, gets back to the question of, you know, how are we gonna have this inventory? Like, how will it get put together? And whether we put more words into here, or there's simply just an understanding that somehow the inventory is gonna be created. It's a matter of when this committee's put together, if they're like, and I'm just making something up to sort of illustrate a story here, if you get like anything, if you get sort of one line of information, but you know you need three, will this committee sort of be empowered to be able to say, I need two more pieces of information? Without having it be so open-ended that we're making anybody crazy with, I need 1,000 pieces of information. I'm not saying that either. But how do we sort of straddle that there to make sure we know there's gonna be a legitimate inventory? Because the words are inventory of all buildings, right? You could take that literally, meaning, oh, there's a building here and a building over there, that's it. That's not the inventory. The inventory really has to be by building system. Sort of the roofs, the water management, the heating, the cooling, the plumbing, the sanitary, the electric, the windows, the doors, security, so on, right? There's 8 to 12 standard categories when you're doing building systems. Those are the kinds of things you need the information about those components, about the buildings, and their status, where they are, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, you need something about them.
I think leaving it, and this is kind of echoing what Carrie Olson told us when we had our charter revision conversations, leaving it broader, saying receive an annual inventory, and leaving it to the committee to better define it as their needs are. I think it's probably better to leave it be broader than overly prescriptive, because then let's say we say under 6 categories and we forgot a 7th, then it doesn't have the, you know, I think leaving it broader is probably better, but I also think it's gonna be like building the plane while we fly it for the first year, which is, we're gonna see what works for year one, and then if it's not working, hopefully the committee members go, it's not working, and you need to make these changes.
Agreed. And in all things, you know, I'm a big believer in the least amount of friction, right? So when you are working together, and we're working, say, whoever the committee is, whoever's on the committee, I'm not saying I'm on it, whoever's on any committee, and is working with town staff, maybe school, we don't know and all that, just how do we sort of bridge this where there may be like, we need this, but only this is produced? Like, how do we then, and does the committee, or does the committee have to come back to the town council or so and say, hey, we're not getting everything we need, and kind of do it that way, which is not the greatest way. And I realize putting more words in sometimes makes it harder. I'm just suggesting, think about it, we talked about it, if you think it's good as is, I just wanted to put that out there for you to think about, because we do want to make sure that it's going to be a working, you know, piece where it's going to work for a long time, and not be something where there's just going to be friction, and then people are just going to get, quite frankly, frustrated, and no one's going to be happy.
I think we better leave it the way it is, because this is gonna be a learning experience as we go along. Staff isn't gonna go to work for you, and it's gonna have to be how it's addressed based on the information that may be needed. I don't mean you, I
Oh,
mean
yeah,
the
of
committee
course.
when I say you.
Yep, of course.
And we have to be careful in that area, so I think,
And I think everybody has to be open for the communication to, you know, if,
yeah, I understand that. but-
knowing how to communicate those
Yeah,
issues.
I'm just saying though that, it depends what's needed and how we go about communicating back. So I think it's better to leave it more broad, like the mayor said.
Yeah, I think so too.
As you were.
And then maybe the last point or question, I guess, or thought is, you know, with all of this, and I've been pretty consistent with this, when you have $250 million worth of school buildings and another $100 million or more of town buildings and other assets and all, I've always believed in it. You know, you need a 5, 10, 20-year plan. These are long-term assets. And so I don't see those words in here kind of referencing that at all, so I'm just putting it out there again for discussion. Should something like
I
that
can't
be
even
in here?
keep bids 30 days. And you wanna go out 20 years?
All I'm saying, Tony, is like, so like when you look at, again, ECS comes up, and the story I always tell, I was just in New York City, Rockefeller Center, built 1931 to 1940, they're not tearing it down.
You're talking to the wrong side
Oh, I
of the
know that,
equation.
well, but I'm
It's the
talking
other-
to everyone
it's the
on
other
this
side.
dais, you know, like when you look at an ECS.
You're in a building that's over 100 years old, that's on the
Exactly, and
town side.
I know this, but the
But it
thing
was
is,
built, too.
in order to maintain it, so it doesn't happen like what has happened recently, we want to have, what's our plan to commit to ECS or any other school?
But you
For
can't,
long
but
term.
again, you're on the wrong side. We got a police station that was built in 1949. The first tower on this side was 1901.
We're not arguing that point, I know that. All I'm saying is, when you have a long-term plan, that's when you're looking ahead and saying you're making a commitment, are we gonna invest in ECS on a regular basis or not? And it could be the high school, I don't care what building it is, ECS just happens to be sort of the shock and awe example.
But those are the buildings that under state statute are not under this control.
At the moment, we're hoping maybe through some, only because it's just logical, right? You just want something to help out the schools, right? This is really, we're trying to do it in a positive way. Hopefully that will go forward like that. And I'm assuming it does.
I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I think the way it's written, it allows for the flexibility that if they want to join in, as the mayor pointed out, they could join in. But if they don't want to join in, there's no sense singling them out in here, because
Sure.
under state statute, we don't have that authority.
That's fair.
It's an opt-in, not, so I guess the philosophical question is whether or not we need to say, like, this committee develops a 10-year plan, or so I have a couple thoughts on that. One, I think that by having this committee exist, it will better allow long-range capital planning to be more functional to do that work, because there's gonna be more data that long-range capital planning can actually, like, dig into, rather than have to, like, ask the basic questions to develop it. The other thing is, I do think that based off the language where we say we have a statement of need, if we really feel like we want a 20-year lookout, I think we could pass something saying, here's a statement of need, give us a 20-year lookout on broad strokes of what are the major projects over the next 20 years, and have them come back to us with that. I think it gives us the discretion to move in a lot of directions, and I think it also will make long-range capital planning be able to do what you want long-range, with this 5, 10, long-range capital planning, we should be doing that work in long-range capital planning. The problem is, we've never had all of the tools at our discretion, because we spend so much time in those meetings talking about, well, what are our assets? Well, where are these at? And then there'll be somebody else who will, hopefully, each October 15th, feed that to us, so we can then plop it into our larger vision.
And you know, when we've gotten those reports from the schools, Gordian report, et cetera, and we found that, us people sitting around thinking everything is wonderful, and the report comes and says, well, over the next 5 years, we're gonna have to spend $27 million to get everything up. Well, how come we didn't know this yesterday, or last year, or to Steve's point, 5 years ago? And I think that's kind of where you're going.
Yes.
Is let's have some working knowledge so that we can prepare, instead of all of a sudden having one of these meetings and getting surprised.
Exactly, and part of it, to Tony's point, I'm not trying to push the schools only, but since we just talked about it, I'm just gonna, a couple more points on that. Roofs on schools are very expensive, and yes, you can repair them in pieces and do whatever else, sure. Don't know the situation, if we have some roofs and all that, maybe parts of these roofs are all 20-plus years old, or 25. You might be looking at a very expensive roof replacement on one of the schools that's, what, WIS is 21 years old? So when is that roof gonna be up? Maybe not this year or next year, but at some point, when we think of all the other needs we have for the town, we have to at least have better visibility to it. And maybe the last data point, and realize just one data point, but in the late, Gordian updates the data every year. And now I take that data and I kind of load it in the tool I built. So right now, it's just the numbers, right? It's $174 million through 2043 for the schools. Now, there's noise in that. Is it half that number? Let's say it's half that, $80 million. It's still $80 million. We should be looking ahead far enough to be thinking of when that's gonna happen, so we can smooth it out, so it's not all in one spike a year. That's why it is very important for us to have the schools be part of this committee. At some point.
What if we add in, I'm looking at Madison's language. Madison has language that says review longer-term needs and make appropriate recommendation to the Board of Selectmen and Town's Capital Improvement Committee when applicable. would adding something like that that's kind of broad, that says review longer-term needs and make appropriate recommendations to, in this case, town manager, town council, and town's capital improvement program committee, whatever our version is, that long-range capital planning committee, would putting that in there, do you think that would be alleviate kind of those concerns, so they?
Personally, I think that's a good start.
Yeah.
Certainly, yeah.
Tony, are you comfortable with that language?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Amanda, if we do vote on it today, I'll read that language out again, but it's in the Madison language from the packet. And then we'll just change, downtown. Okay. Any other comments from Steve?
I think I'm done.
Okay. Counselors?
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,
No,
Steve.
Steve, don't run away. You're part of the big conversation in this. I said I said you're invited to this podium to
Mike
be.
was invited too.
I referenced him once. And he seems happy. I'll start with my left. Any comments from Paula? Brian, any comments from Brian?
So the ordinance is for Asset and Facilities Committee. Under the asset aspect of this, will we be adding, our equipment, our fleet, all the other things we need to assess that, other than just the buildings?
Lou or Tony, do you imagine that the equipment and fleet would be part of this?
Maybe the big ticket items.
Yeah, maybe what we discussed is, so we just bought a Mason dump truck for $65,000. I don't know if that would rise to this level. I think we're looking at larger assets.
I think definitely the $250,000 dump truck.
So, my plan right now is to ask for a 6-wheel plow truck every other year for the next, 10 years or so, because we've got a couple of 02s there, we've got an 03, and certainly every two, those are gonna be 25+ years old, which is far less than ideal. So, yeah, if I'm gonna ask you for 290, 300,000, because that's what they're up to now, 285, probably, this is something that the committee should have an opinion on. We ever replace a payloader for $300,000, or an excavator, 250, 300,000, yeah. But the smaller vehicles, I would think not. There was language in there before that said PM, I think that's a little, again, those are all incumbent in people's job specs, and I think we have a good chief mechanic out there now that's pretty good for PM, so.
Where are we at on the fleet management policy and program?
I've done several demonstrations over the last couple of weeks, and we have one last one scheduled tomorrow, which is basic, specific to fleet. But to the other concerns that were just talked about with the assets, some of the demos I did the other day would give us the ability, to Steve's point, to Jack's point, to look out 20 years. And to do that, so it's easy now to say, hey, the Public Works facility was just built and got a CO in 2021, so we know the roofs on that should be good until 45 or whatever the year, 25-year system, whatever it is. We know the middle school is brand new, so there should be a good 25-year life expectancy on the roofs, or what's the mechanical life expectancies. Some of these demonstrations I did are far too much and far too expensive, quite honestly, to just manage the fleet, but they do have, you can add layers to it, so you can add facilities to it. Under facilities, you can break it down to mechanicals, you can break it down to windows, you can break it down to roofs. But though, that comes with a price tag of, they all, and I found this out, I learned a lot the last couple of weeks, they all base it on a percentage of the town's overall budget, which kind of, I'm scratching my head, but that's what they all do. I guess that's. So based on a town our size, if we wanted 3 things in it, if we wanted the fleet, if we wanted facilities, and, pick one more topic that we think we need a little bit of assistance with, you're looking at about $20,000 a year to have them come in here. And to provide that data on the front end to help us, again, with the new buildings, it's easy. With the roofs on this building, it's easy, because I can look at POs and know that I replaced these 2 towers in 15, and in 21, we did the gym and the senior center, and so we can load that in there, and we could also load that it's a 20 or 25-year system, and it'll project it out for the next 15, 20, 25 years maybe. I think the trick would be, looking at the high school, the ECS and the WIS, and then, maybe the Gordian report has some of that information, but you could load all that in there. So as I was out looking for fleet stuff, they wanna sell you something bigger, right? They wanna come into town and be a one-stop and help us with our asset management period. You can add your sewer system in there, you can add your storm, you could add as much as you want, but the more you add, but for 3 components, it's about 20,000 a year, that's what I learned. But to answer your question, I did several demonstrations over the last 3-4 weeks, looked at several different things from as basic as $2,000 a year to 20,000 a year, and there's another basic one tomorrow that will, certainly take care of the fleet, and that's it. If that's what the appetite is for. But again, if you wanted to look out ahead and this committee gets off the ground and we get into budget development this year, and, we wanted to, if the Board of Ed opted in and we wanted to partner up with them and, hey, it's 20,000 a year, but if they pay 10 and we pay 10, we can get this asset management tool that can help us in a lot of different ways.
I think it's relatively cheap considering what we'll be getting, considering all the consulting fees and everything else that we put out. I mean, what do we pay for the Gordian report itself? That we're not really using, to,
$20,000 a year, and did they say, hey, if that's not palatable for you, we want your business, they're part of CCM, they're part of CROG, they're part of all this, hey, tell us you can't afford it, and maybe we'll do it a little cheaper to get your business, but, so.
I like this, what you're describing I really like, but to Brian's point, let me ask if you're open to something like this. Using the same language that is for the paragraph on inventory, the committee shall receive an annual inventory. Is there any openness, and again, I know I want to be respectful of all of our town staff and the work that they do and all that stuff, right? Is there an openness to language like shall receive an annual fleet and equipment inventory of all assets over X amount value? So like of over $50,000 value. At least that way we have a benchmark. So would it be? But the reason I would want something in there about this with maybe something like that is so that when they're making their recommendations because in the paragraph above they're making recommendations of necessary repairs and renovations, this would be for make a projection for future replacements. And so they could say, hey, listen, Town Council, Long Range Capital Planning, we have a Mason dump truck that will be in 2032, will be in need. You already have it somewhere else, but just having this committee look at it and then kind of think about it, so when they're making the recommendation to Tony on October 15th, would that be something you're comfortable with if we mirror the language from above?
Because, like I said, both the police department and Public Works hand it in at budget time.
And with the 50,000, that way it's not like little tiny pieces of equipment, but the big ticket items, is that a good threshold number?
50,000.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put a number.
You wouldn't put a number?
No, because it's gonna change.
Okay. I was trying to do it so that it wouldn't be, because Lou said it would be like every piece of equipment.
To providing a list, because it exists, it's there,
Okay.
it's been there.
So could we add a paragraph after the committee shall receive an annual inventory that says the committee shall receive an annual fleet and equipment inventory of all assets owned by the building, owned by the town, or I'm just trying to take the, now that's what I'm trying to.
You say equipment, now you gotta define it.
That's why I said 50,000 to try to.
50,000, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of all assets of 50,000 or greater in value owned by the town of Cromwell on or before October 15th each year, the committee will recommend to the town manager all future necessary replacements of said vehicles or equipment. Is that fair?
That sounds okay.
All anticipated,
Oh.
or all just, what did you say there?
What did I say, Amanda? Did I say anticipated or did I say? Okay.
Shall recommend, for equipment over 50,000.
And you could do greater than or equal to?
Greater than or equal to 50,000. The committee will recommend to the town manager by October 15th. Future projections or future replacements for said, I think I said future replacements for said vehicles or equipment, because it's about replacing, it's not about, we want to stay away from preventative maintenance, that's the mechanic's job. We're not fixing it, we're saying, you know.
We're replacing it.
Replacing it, so future replacements.
So, just to throw this out there,
Yep.
because the BOE's had a facilities manager, I don't know, 20 years, maybe they do all this stuff.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We can find
I
out.
don't know, no, I don't know if anybody ever asked them. Did you ever ask them?
Along those same lines, there's a lot of information here, it seems to me, that would come from somebody who works at the town. Why don't we have town employees on this committee?
So I have under, I have that the committee will have liaisons from the town. I don't know if we can make town staff members be part of a committee without paying them to be on the committee.
Well, why not pay them something?
I
mean,
Tony, we could.
it would be cheap compared to that, like, Gordian
Yeah.
report, right?
I mean,
Well, the main, if you're gonna do equipment, the main one would be the mechanic, the chief mechanic, usually.
But-
If you're gonna talk structures, then you're talking building maintenance. So
yeah, but we could
I would leave it up to
leave
the
it up to,
public works director.
and Lou could report it, go back to the staff and say, you know, I need this generated, and then come back to us, and if,
Or he can assign.
or he can assign and
if he
pay them
assigns,
overtime.
then he pays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So are we comfortable with, Brian, does that language that I just kind of spitballed out? Okay, so the committee shall receive an annual inventory of all vehicles and equipment owned by the town of greater than $50,000 in value on or before October 15th of each year. The committee will recommend to the town manager future necessary replacements for said vehicles or equipment. Okay. I think that should get us where we need to be with it. And by the way, Lou, I love the idea of the program you're describing. I think it'd be really helpful.
I was pretty impressed with the one I did, I think it was last Thursday. And there was two before that that were pretty inclusive, and they all said the same thing, we're looking for a percentage of the town's budget, and they all knew what the budget was. But the last demo I did was the one I was most impressed with, they had layers upon layers, and again, I guess the trick would be the data input on the front end. So would it come from the Gordian report, would it come from staff, would we go back historically and look at POs for when we did these roofs? Yeah, we can.
Quite honestly, I think it should come from staff, because I'm not sure how complete, you know, one of the big issues was Gordian, they didn't even go up on the roof on, you know, but they made assessments to systems and things that, I think it needs to be a hands-on assessment, not just a generalization of, well, you know, it was built in this, and the life expectancy is that, and so let's plug it in as this. I think it needs to be an actual hands-on, you know, all right, we took a look at it, and here's what we think. We've assessed, you know, the condition of it, and this is what our opinion is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Brian. Any other edits to propose for it? If we add the Fleet language in there and we add the Madison language in there, which is Steve's concern. No, you know, not that it's only your concern, Steve, it's just you brought it up. Hold on one second, let me just make sure Brian's good, and then we'll keep moving down the line.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, Mr. Waters, go ahead.
One of the things, if it got by me or not, I'm not sure, but we're talking about school maintenance, if, like, they had a guy out for leave, and actually, the town Parks Department had to go take care of the grounds for the school Board of Ed. We have equipment, if they break down, who's paying for that stuff? The taxpayers? Is that coming out of the Public Works Department? Or should that be coming out of the Board of Ed's money? Now,
It's all
just
taxpayer money.
recently, they went up on a lot of things where they're skyrocketing and a whole bunch of things. Where's that money going? Into their general fund? Well, if it's going into the general fund, they could afford to pay for, if we need a couple new lawnmowers because they're breaking down,
Well,
they
don't-
should be paying for it.
well, they don't,
I think we need to pay for it, cause 70% of our maintenance is on their field during the day anyway, so, yeah.
yeah, we
But still.
maintain their fields for, we don't charge, they don't pay us to maintain their fields to begin with.
I know that.
It all comes out of the same budget, it all comes out of the same
But when you have-
tax base.
When you have a breakdown,
We track it
what
on
happens then?
track it.
You're doing them the favor.
Well, what's the difference
Hold on.
whether the Board of Ed pays for the mower that broke, or the town pays for the mower that broke? It's all coming out of your pocket and my
At
pocket.
one time,
Al.
the Board of Ed took care of their
Hold
own.
on, one at a time, one at a time. Okay,
It's 2-1.
okay.
Do track it
watching
though for state
We'll keep moving it along, but
Any other edits for this, Al?
To edit this?
To edit this? Anything else? Okay. Jack, any other edits to this? Ann, any other edits to this? Judge, any other edits to this? Okay. My only edit beyond the things we've talked about is, do we think, because it says may in both A and B, is it redundant now to have this section in here? Like the threshold, because I just read them as saying the exact same thing for any, section 4. For any capital construction or remodeling exceeding 5 million, the town may mandate oversight by resolution. For projects under 5 million, the town council may assign the project to committee to manage. Is it redundant now because we have may in both?
Yeah.
Okay, so do we need a threshold because we already have the paragraph above that says the town council shall have oversight? If designated by the town council, it has oversight and the statement of need. Do we even need section 4 anymore? Okay. So we don't need section 4 because bullet 2 and bullet 5 of the section 3 will cover the same thing. So we don't need the 5 million anymore.
Well, I think you need the 5 million.
Okay, you need the 5 million.
So you don't need a B or an A, you need one.
Okay, so do we keep
We'll
A?
combine it.
We'll combine, so are we keeping A or are we keeping B? Are we merging them together?
We're gonna merge.
Okay. Merge. Okay, reporting, and then that was my only thing. So with those edits, which are, we're adding a version of the Madison language in section 3. We're copying the committee shall receive the annual inventory to say fleet and equipment. And instead of repairs, we're saying replacement. And we're merging A and B with keeping the 5 million, but merging it together into one paragraph so it's not redundant. Are there any other edits that we want for this before approving this to go forward through the ordinance process?
Just so you're aware, if approved, it goes to the town attorney for review.
Correct.
And then publicized.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve as amended the proposed ordinance for legal review, and should it pass muster at legal review, then our ordinance approval process as dictated by charter? Moved by Julia, second by Jack. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you, Steve, for your work. Thank you,
Thanks,
Mike, for
Steve.
your work.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Steve.
Lou, for your work.
Good job.
And thank you, Tony, and Amanda, for your work.
Question for Tony?
Sure.
Mr. Town Manager, Tony, what is the status with Mix Hill Road, the old fire department property? And the one time we were talking about,
I'm sorry, I'm still, we're still trying to divide it up so that I can bring it back and recommend sale.
so you're saying the property, subdivide the property up first?
We have to subdivide it first so that we can recommend sale of the premises.
Okay, because it's been a while, that's,
Yeah, he's still working on it.
So I'm gonna keep us moving forward, just so we can kind of get through the last few items here. Okay, so item L2, Paula and Ann, do you want to just provide a summary as to what was discussed last night with the track and where we are with it?
Go ahead, Ann.
Ann, you had typed something up. Do you want to just read it?
Essentially, the Board of Ed met last night, reviewed the letter that the mayor had sent, discussed the process at the Board of Finance meeting, and then essentially listened to a lot of concerns about unanticipated expenses that they believe are could hinder their decision, or their ability, I should say, to pay for the track. And so there was a lot of discussion from the Human Resources Department and from Chris about some of the issues that are on their, radar, including expenses from the new FMLA law that has gone into effect, and an increase in people taking leave. The DATCO bus issue, that was an unanticipated expense, increase in dental costs, and they need 4 paraprofessionals. So, based on all of that, the Board of Ed did not make a decision to act. They took no action. They requested that an analysis of all of those expenses in detail be presented back to the Board of Ed at next week's meeting, and then they'll decide if they want to take action or not. Did I get that right?
Sounds pretty good.
So,
They didn't decide anything, they
yeah.
just don't know what to do.
so, I mean, at this junction, if they choose not to appropriate the full amount, we could always ask Board of Finance to reconsider again.
I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm just outlining let me just outline the different options. We can wait to see what they do after next week's meeting, and if they do nothing, then the project won't move forward, and we could let it wither on the vine. We could ask Board of Finance to reconsider, we could ask them to reconsider again. I just wanted to bring it to you all so that you're up to speed with where we're at with it. If we don't want to take any action on it, or make any recommendations to anybody on it, we can just leave it where it's at, and see what they do next week, and then at our next meeting, try to see what we want to do with it. I just worry that if we don't get it done, if we wait till our normal capital expense process to do it, we'll lose another summer of possible renovation time. That's, what my biggest concern is, that it'll just bump it out until summer of 2027, which.
Do they have any
2027?
notion of how long, when would it be before they would know whether their surplus is available to pay for it or not?
They have a surplus.
Right, that's why the Board of Finance, I
Well,
think.
That's why
my
Board of
bigger
Finance,
problem
that's
is if everything does come to fruition and they lose their federal funding and all of these other costs come through and they come up short on money, they're gonna come to us for money anyways. There's nowhere else to go when they come up short except here.
And
So they have a bird in the hand that they don't wanna spend, but they're gonna come to us anyways if that bird in the hand goes away, so.
The comment that I believe was made by somebody pointed that out. The comments that were made was essentially, one, the superintendent felt that meant that she was a poor manager if she had to come back to us and ask for money. And I've tried to make an assurance in my note to them that, if that exact scenario happened, we would be open to considering whatever funding request. The second comment that was made was, well, wouldn't Board of Finance just vote no on that anyways? And that's, I think, verbatim what somebody said. So I think they're now skeptical that if they did need something, that we would approve it. I think they're worried about the mutual trust there. For better or for worse, that's, I think, what they said. I listened to it this morning. Is that accurate, pretty much? So, we can wait and see what they do next week, and if they don't do something, I think we really
We
need
don't
to.
much have a choice.
They could do nothing.
That means all those students that participate in track and field are done.
Board of Finance could revisit it.
When's the next Board of Finance meeting? Is it,
23rd.
so that's after their next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
If I may, how did that, with the Board of Finance, how was that voted on? Can you tell me by chance what the ratio was, maybe?
3-3.
Even, or was it?
3-3. It's an even board. Don't ask me why.
So it's not 7-6?
Is it? It's an even board? Oh, I thought there was somebody absent at the time.
I thought there's always has to be one to break the tie.
By state statute, there's 6 members.
Blanchett wasn't there, so the Republican alternate's out.
So in other words, either side could have shot it down, not picking on one party versus another party. It was,
I think it was mixed. I don't know the affiliation of the.
so it was, in other words, the Democrats and the Republicans both voted no.
I don't know the.
I don't know the affiliation of the breakup.
I caution us to worry about affiliation of votes,
Yeah,
because we try really hard not to be
I think it was a
political.
financial decision.
So it was 3-3. Jack had asked how many students use the track. 250 students last year were using the track as an extracurricular. So that does not include classes or anything else like that. 250 students rely on the track are a part of track for middle school or high school.
Yeah, and if you take into consideration some of the other sports that we have, 250 is a pretty good number, pretty active number.
It is, but do we set a precedence then, if we end up paying for it, that anytime the Board of Education has a surplus, that they're just gonna hold on to it and come to us, cause they know we're gonna cave on.
They find a way of spending it, Brian, I'm sorry, they'll find a way of spending
It's
it.
been,
They have $575,000
They'll find a
right
way
now.
of getting rid of it.
yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah, but it won't be on the
that
track.
has tended to be
No.
the strategy. It has been the way some of it's worked over the last so many years.
Oh, it's time for some change,
Yeah.
I think.
No, I understand, I just feel
Yeah,
bad.
If we
I
keep
feel
on doing
bad for
things the
the-
way they were being done in the past,
I know.
we're
Yep.
never gonna move forward.
Well, I hope that they reconsider, because there may be some students in that 250 or whatever that number was, where they're looking for scholarships. And maybe in state meets, they do very well, who knows?
So we're gonna take no action. We'll wait to see what they do next week, and if they don't move it forward at our next meeting, we can
Then we'll
discuss
do
what we wanna do
something,
about it.
yeah.
Okay.
James,
yes.
who is they?
The Board of Ed. You said Board of Ed next week is gonna make a final decision once they get data?
They're gonna look at the data that's presented next week at their meeting and then decide if they'll take action or not.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so let me move ahead, we're not gonna take any action on that, to the letter that I want the council to endorse. So, yeah, so, the Congregational Church on Main Street, historic building, I think it's on the National Registry, as part of the entire Main Street Historical District. They wanna apply for a state grant. Al, I'm sorry, I just wanna move on to the next agenda item, because we're taking no action on that one. They need from the municipality a letter of support as part of their application. So I will read this letter because it wasn't in our packet, and then if folks have any edits, we can make it. Otherwise, I'm seeking endorsement to sign on our behalf. To whom a letter of support to the First Congregational Church of Cromwell Historic Restoration Fund application, to whom it may concern. As mayor of the town of Cromwell, on behalf of the Cromwell Town Council, I am pleased to offer this letter of support for the First Congregational Church of Cromwell in their application to the Connecticut Historic Restoration Fund. The First Congregational Church has stood as a cornerstone of our community since its establishment in 1715, with its current sanctuary and steeple dating to 1840. Beyond its architectural and historical significance, the church has been a gathering place for generations, hosting civic events, including the town's 150th anniversary event, community programs and services that have strengthened the social and cultural fabric of Cromwell for over 3 centuries. The proposed project to repair the steeple and the front sanctuary doors is vital to ensuring this iconic structure continues to serve the people of Cromwell safely and beautifully for the years to come. These repairs are essential not only for the preservation of a historic building, but also for maintaining the integrity of Cromwell's historic Main Street and town center. The town of Cromwell is proud to support this project and recognizes the church's long-standing commitment to stewardship of its historic property. We believe this investment from the Connecticut Historic Restoration Fund will yield a lasting cultural, historic, and community benefits. Thank you for considering this application and for your ongoing support to preserving Connecticut's rich historical heritage. Sincerely, Mayor, Town of Cromwell.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Motion made, second. Any further discussion?
It was a lovely letter.
Thank you. Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Cool. Thank you all for that. I'm sure the congregants will be happy to hear that. And I just want to say, in case folks are worried about the town endorsing one church over another, This is a historic building that is part of our historic Main Street. It could be any church in the world, and I think we would have the same position, that it's not about the affiliation of the congregation, it's the fact that this is a historic building in our historic district, so.
It just has to, on the First Congregation Church, Tony, the other day they had a big crane down there. As far as, were they scoping out what needs to be done to that steeple, or are you,
You don't scope anything out with a crane that size.
well,
That's hundreds
that was up in the air.
of thousands of
I know,
dollars to
no,
get it
I
there.
hear you, I hear you, but they were down there.
Sorry, I'm not familiar, I did not observe that.
I can
I
always
think,
email
Al,
the
I
church.
think
I
they were
thought they were gonna
changing
take-
out some
I thought
sort
they were
of, I think
taking-
they were changing out a rooftop unit of some sort or something like
But
a
that's what they
six-ton
wanted
unit.
to do, take that whole thing down.
This would be for, the steeple and the front
Right.
doors.
Right.
So, let me move us ahead to, because we voted and approved it, thank you. We'll move over to the approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve September 10th and September 24th?
So
No.
moved.
Motion made by Paula, seconded by Brian. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye, and then Julia, you're gonna abstain, right? Yeah. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries, thank you. And then resignation, Diane Weigert, from all of her commissions, did she give a reason for her resignation?
Yeah, it's health issues, James.
She's so fabulous, okay. I wish her the absolute best in the world, she's such a fabulous human. Can I have a motion to accept the resignation with regrets
Motion to.
with Al?
Second.
Second, Jack. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Informational item, does anyone have any informational items? Okay, hearing none. Yes,
Something, one of these reports about a craft fair, a Christmas craft fair. Do we know where that is? Farmers Market Craft Fair
Yeah,
it was
we do
called.
it in the gymnasium,
Oh, okay.
senior center, arts room, we
Okay.
type, we call it.
it's fun.
Yeah, I think I went last year. It was good.
Okay,
A lot of stuff.
any further informational items? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion approved.
Made by Al. Seconded by Jack. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We're adjourned at 9:11. Thank you.